How do I stop having imaginary arguments in my head? It sounds like you need to get your anxiety under control more than stop the conversations in your head. For myself, I try to look at every situation as an outside observer. It's extremely difficult to do in the moment. But look at each individual situation with yourself removed and look at it as random people interacting. Who is more in the wrong? Who could have spoken better? What most likely caused the issue in the first place? When you look at everyone as just human, it can help allow you to look at yourself as also just human. We all make mistakes and you're already halfway to fixing them and being a better person just from the simple fact that you ask this question. For what it's worth, everybody does this whether they have any mental health issues or not. I do it all the time. You just have to figure out which way to control it that these people are suggesting works best for you. I do this as well. Something I learned in therapy is to remember that my thoughts are just thoughts and not always my identity. Sometimes your brain will do things on its own thinking it's protecting you. Find things you enjoy that also can draw your attention to the present moment. This is called ruminating, and you have to find ways to stop the process by bringing yourself back to the present moment. Touch something, focus on it, or focus on breathing. Meds help a lot too. I do this all the time, and guess what? I'm a really great strategist as a result, because by the time the conversation comes up I've already gone through every likely scenario. I don't think of it as a barrier but as a superpower. I suffered bad from rumination. It's something that happens often to people that are on the OCD spectrum. My therapist prescribed an SSRI for me and we did cognitive behavioral therapy. After a while it helped get me back to normal. My advice is to set up an appointment with a licensed therapist and start getting the help you need. Most people don't have to suffer with intrusive thoughts if they get help for it. My therapist says this is normal. It's actually a pretty healthy way to work through stuff and identify what your feelings are trying to tell you. If you do want to stop for a minute, practice staying in the moment, as others here suggested. Also, look into internal family systems for a method that helps people deal with all their conflicting emotions. Anxiety is not a bad thing. Anxiety tells us that there are emotions we had that we need to pay attention to. You have to stay busy. In my opinion, going over things isn't that bad. It helps prepare you for the next time a similar situation presents itself. Argument might be so out of control because there is that part of you that never really gets a say. It screams and it yells, but your ego has it so well contained that when it comes time to be heard, you shut it down. You might need to develop DBT skills with a therapist to help teach you how to identify with that part of yourself. Allow it to come in and speak quietly and calmly. My guess is with military upbringing they taught you how to shut down all of your emotions in an attempt to train your impulse control, a necessary skill to have in warfare and life and death situations, but not adaptable in day-to-day life. Having emotions is human and acceptable, but not for a warrior. You have to let that warrior you have inside do something really brave, unlock the cage to the emotional, softer side of yourself that you've locked away for so long. Embrace it as a brother and accept that she has an important place inside of you too. Wait, I constantly have arguments in my head just like this. Is it anxiety? What kind of doctor do I need to see? Serious question. Sorry for hijacking this thread. There is a book called No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. I encourage you to read it. I've been reading and loving a book, When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chödrön. She is a Buddhist nun and it's her advice on life. I highly recommend. One of the parts to meditate is to say, thinking, every time you start thinking instead of meditating. I started doing it with intrusive thoughts and it has been helping. Meditation, anxiety medication, therapy. This sounds so stupid. Sing. I actually read somewhere on Reddit. Someone said that they sing because when they are singing they aren't thinking. So I started. And I can still think, but it's usually just one thought that comes and goes as opposed to the thousands. It's really helped. My PTSD is very old and I feel very much controlled. So panic attacks aren't common anymore. But I'm really hoping it works just as well. I had one last week, but I was so surprised by it that I couldn't mitigate. I'll try next time. Mindfulness meditation. Sadly, I do the same. Or overplay the situation in my own head of how it could have gone differently if you say the wrong thing, or what if I had said that instead. I imagine like you are your anxiety and feeling overwhelmed, as you will tend to overthink even when arguing to yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, it's how you deal with the fallout after. Try yoga, meditation. Hikes in forest work for me. I will just sit there and listen to all the sounds I hear, then I stop thinking of everything else. This used to happen to me all the time when someone was really bothering me. Mostly at work. If I was alone when it happened, I would actually talk or even yell my feelings at that person I was thinking about. It's very normal. It helps you to work through something that is troubling you so you can deal with your IRL. I just lived with it and let it run its course. It didn't cause me any damage. If it bothers you so much that you don't want to deal with it, then I must consciously make an effort to put it out of your mind and think about something else. Or do some task that forces you, or think about the task at hand. Please try this first. Don't try drugs or go to a therapist if it occurs mostly because of your partner, who you say is easy to talk with. Then just talk to them about it. If you can't bring yourself to do that, then maybe there is another problem in your relationship you need to work out first. Only you can figure that out. Give it a serious try before you start taking drugs. Please. Peace. If it feels like you're working through your feelings, there's no need to stop. You just can't solely rely on it. I have to say, I'm a fan of Better Living Through Chemistry. It took 5 years to balance out my meds and finally suppress the loud arguments in my head. I cannot tell you how nice it is to finally sleep through a quiet night. Since I'm in Illinois, an occasional gummy also helps calm the turbo brain. Granted, no medication replaces the need for talk-based therapy. Getting the chemistry right is only one tool in handling anxiety and depression.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.